So now we're moving to Utah to Richard. Hi, Richard. How may we help you today?
Okay, I have a very different question.
Okay.
I've been listening to the podcast. Love it.
Good.
I bought the Reconciliation Toolkit. Love that. I've been talking to my wife, and we've been answering and asking questions that we don't get normally in therapy. So you're above and beyond, well above what's going on in normal situations. So I love the information.
Good.
Here's the question.
All right.
How important is the being in love feeling? And if it is important, how do we develop it healthily, in a healthy way? Not limerence, but the actual healthy version of, let's say, limerence, should I say.
Okay. I think that's an excellent question.
It's a really good question.
You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
As he was saying it, I was like, Joe's the person to ask. Because just starting with it, the feeling of being in love is different for everyone.
Yeah,
everyone. So how do you even start defining that? And there's research that we refer to in the workshops that we do and different things from there. But Joe, you take it away.
Here, throw it to Joe later. Richard, I think it's an excellent question. I really do. And Kimberly is right in the sense of when we talk about feeling in love, we're not sure that everybody is actually describing the same thing. So here's a recommendation. You can get this on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, whatever. There's a book called Cupids Arrow. Cupids Arrow. It's by Robert Sternberg. And I think it's like $15 or something. Now, if you get that book, and again, of course, I get no royalty off that book. This is just, it's not a commercial. If you get that book, in there, he actually has a way to measure love when it comes to relationship. And they measure 3 things. They measure the commitment that you have to each other. They measure the intimacy you have with each other. Now, intimacy here is not describing sex. Intimacy here is describing into-me-see. In other words, openness, transparency, vulnerability, trust, those kinds of things. And then it also measures passion. Now, passion, while it has a sexual dimension, here is still not totally sexual. It has to do with a craving for oneness. How much do I miss you when you're not in the room? What do I think about you? Now, you and your bride, if you decide to get that book and take this thing, go through it the first time, and you'll be answering. There's 15 questions. You'll rate on a scale of 1 to 9. I'm sorry, there's 45 questions on a scale of 1 to 9. And you'll go through rating, what do I wish I had? Okay, that's the first thing you do. What do I wish I had on a scale of 1 to 9? Then you go back through it a second time, and you rate, here's what I believe I have. So the first one is what I want. The second one is what I believe I have now. Now, the book will instruct you on how to draw some triangles from that. And if you draw those triangles, you can get an idea. Now, both you and your wife would be the people who do this. And so let's see, I'm not going to draw a triangle. I'll draw one in the air here. Can you see that? If you have a triangle, then what you look for is where is the biggest gap between what I want and what I believe that I have. And so let's say it was passion. There's a big gap there between what I believe, what I have, and what I want. Or it could be intimacy, or it could be commitment, whatever. Mm-hmm. You and your wife, not wives, that's not a good thing, that's plural. You and your wife look at those things and go, okay, now how can we work together in a relationship to develop more of that? Mm-hmm. So to develop more passion, to develop more intimacy. And so rather than saying, wow, I don't know if we feel in love or not, this actually gives you a path.
Right.
Like this is the thing we can work on. We can work on this or that. Now, when you get to that, you may still have a question like, I'm not sure how to work on increasing passion or not sure how to work on increasing intimacy. And if that's the case, call us back because we can definitely give you suggestions about that. For example, there's a product online. Now, this is primarily a sexual product, but it can help you develop both intimacy, and by that, I don't mean just sex, I mean openness, transparency, vulnerability, because of what you were talking about just a minute ago. It's a thing that gets you to talk about a lot of things. And it's called The Spark, and there's a website for that. I can't remember that.
Sparkyourmarriage.com.
Sparkyourmarriage.com. I'm sorry, I wish I could remember that. I actually did that series. It's and along with a bunch of other people helping me on that. For example, I'll teach on there, and then we'll have an actor couple talk things out to kind of demonstrate things for you. No sex on the videos, okay? Teaching and actors talking. And it goes, if you go through all of it, it winds up being 7.5 hours. Now, in little pieces, of course. And there's also some evaluations there, like how to evaluate your sexual compatibility, how to evaluate all kinds of things, your own sexuality, et cetera, et cetera. Now, while it's primarily a product about sex, it develops more intimacy because of the conversations you have when you talk about that. And so you can go sparkyourmarriage.com and find that out there. It's not a product of Marriage Helper. It's another company that has that. I did it for somebody else, is what I'm saying. And you can go from there. But first, I would recommend the $15 book. And if that helps you get where you want to go by showing you where the gaps are, awesome. Then I would recommend that if you want to get more passion and intimacy, you check out sparkyourmarriage.com. Okay.
You know, I also did a video that,
good.
I can't remember the title of it, but I'm hoping Jesse can find it real quick, where I talked about these 3 tenets. So I didn't talk about the gaps in it and things like that, but you know, what we start seeing, and especially where this question stemmed from, is, you know, I have this commitment to it. And the question that was written on our page, it said, how important is feeling in love versus having the duty and honor? And again, in our society, there's kind of this thought of, well, if you don't feel it, then move on and find someone that you feel it for. And it's all based on feelings. So in this video, I go through why that's not the best way to evaluate whether or not you've married the right person. And then I talk quickly about the commitment, the intimacy, the passion, why that matters, you know, how we at Marriage Helper can help you to get those things. But here's my warning is, if you go through the 45 questions, like Joe said, be aware that there might be large gaps, and it's okay. So
yeah, don't panic.
If you look at your wife's score and she has a 1 for commitment, you might freak out.
Oh, what's going on?
Right, but it's all fixable, is what we're saying. And so you can develop. It might not be those feelings of butterflies in your stomach again, like you had the first time that you dated or were in limerent, so to say, or anything like that. But the feeling that you can come out of this with what your relationship has is something deeper and stronger that will last a longer time and isn't going to fluctuate based on a day-to-day basis.
And that's a good point, because the butterflies in the stomach kind of thing, that's what the media pushes. Now, I don't mean the news, I mean TV shows, movies, romance novels, all these kinds of things.
Hallmark Channel at Christmas.
Or any time of the year. And it's all about, you're going to feel these amazing things. Well, in life, you do feel those things, but you typically don't feel them every day. Now, in a young love, what I mean is it's fresh. It hasn't been going on that long. Those feelings tend to be more intense. But as you go through life, as you get older and live together longer, then the intensities of those emotions tend to decrease a little, but the depth of those emotions becomes much more powerful. So it's not like I'm having an excited moment right here, but the depth of what I feel, it's so blooming powerful and connecting to the other person. And so the emotions themselves, you're right, absolutely, will change with time.
And it's okay.
So yeah, if you do that, and that's a good point. If you go take that thing, don't freak out on the scores. Just use it to go, okay, here's what we need to do next.